Dr. Ron Blake Facebook page, you're going to get 2 of these today. I put 1 on Ron Blake's page, so 3 podcast videos today. Here we go. This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust that you'll consider this as your vitamin or mineral for your heart and mind. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? And if you can leave a rating and a brief review, it would be very helpful. And this podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, TuneIn, all kinds of places, and then pass the word on to your friends. I want to talk for just a few moments about some goals for you to consider. People are always asking me, how did you decide what goals to set for a year or a period of time? And many people have this idea that it's not really a goal unless it's some life-changing, cataclysmic, a real mountain-moving kind of a thing. And I'm of this opinion that to get to some big things in life, you need to do a series of small things and to make some incremental steps. So again, I was talking with someone and I just sort of jotted down and thought through, I'm going to say maybe 10 or 11. I could give a lot more, but maybe there'll be one that you hadn't considered or thought about, and you might think that's something I could do over the next 3 months, next year. However, whenever you're getting to the place where you want to make some changes and set some goals for different aspects of your life. It's not just enough to set goals for your business life and your work life or your professional life. You need spiritual goals, mental goals, emotional, relational, financial, physical, on it goes. So I'm going to try to dip into several of those disciplines and areas of our lives. And I would be interested in hearing from you what would be some that you are working on or some that you are considering. And I would be happy to pass that word along for you. Let me give you the first one that I think might be helpful. This will be in the area of spirituality. If you haven't read a portion of the Bible, either you may think you don't want to read through it, but YouVersion, there are wonderful things that will take you through, and that might be something that you want to do as a spiritual discipline in the area of Bible reading or praying. And then the one that I'm a big believer in is make a commitment that over the next 6 months or 12 months, that you're going to take a self-development class or course. And it's so much easier today with the advent of the internet. Back in the old days, I used to listen to them on cassette tapes. And if you don't know what a cassette tape is, Google it or go to the Smithsonian and you'll see a cassette tape and a cassette tape player. They were furnished in our cars in those days, and now I do it through Bluetooth. But I do a lot of driving, and I listen in a given year to hours of material. I rarely listen to music in the car, and I rarely listen to talk radio. What I do is I listen to books on Audible, but I also make sure that there's some self-development, personal development course, podcast, webinar, series. It just is good to stretch ourselves, and if we want the people around us to become better and to get better and to develop themselves, they're not going so much listen to what we say as they are going to follow what we do. And so I think it's significant and important that we do the things that we want them to do. So I think that'd be a good one to take us, just commit yourself to doing something for your own personal development. Let me go to a couple of them that would be in the area of finances. Do you know what your credit score is? If you don't know what your credit score, then a real simple, easy to achieve goal or something you ought to do is make up your mind, write it down. I'm going to check my credit score. Now, I know there are people who listen to this podcast. I think now we're up to 45 countries besides the United States. It may be different where you live, but you should know your credit score. And the higher your credit score is, obviously, the better for you. And then you might want to make your second goal, if you find out it's not real good, is to what are some steps I can take to raising my credit score. I think while we're on the area of finances, let's also do you have a savings goal? Maybe if things are very tight, and there's hardly anyone where things aren't financially tight these days, but maybe the thing you can do is to say, I'm going to save 1%, 2%, maybe 5% more than I saved last year, or put more of that into an emergency fund. I'm going to fully furnish an emergency fund, which, depending on who you listen to, is something that takes 3 to 6 months of your expenses in case something would happen. A friend of mine, somebody that I am involved with, fell off a ladder yesterday, injured himself, and he will be out of commission for a few weeks. How quickly our lives can change. You need an emergency fund. You need to plan for retirement, even if you're only going to put 1% or 2% or 5%. You see, these are the ways we can, over time, make incremental changes that when we get to the end of that, we'll be surprised what a significant difference. What is stopping us now, that you just don't do anything and nothing happens until you do something, until you commit. So commit to doing something, and even though it seems small and insignificant, time and doing it over time will cause something enormous to happen. Let's talk about our physical area. If we're trying to keep our lives in balance and trying to set some goals for various areas of our life. And as you notice, none of these are overly time-consuming so far. But how about if you don't drink enough water, since we are mostly water, we humans, why don't you commit yourself, set the time parameters when you're going to start, that you're going to drink 64 ounces of water a day. That will really help you. I would also highly recommend that one of the first things you do in the morning is to drink a bottle or a container of water, because you get dehydrated over the night, and it will make you feel more alert, more awake, more able to get going on your day. And I would say, while we're on the physical, if you're not exercising, commit to walking for 20 minutes. Commit to doing something. You really owe it to yourself. I learned this from someone, and I think it's a great idea. How about this next year that you just plan on going somewhere new, somewhere you have never been? Well, Dr. Ron knows already that next year I'm going to 2 places I have never been. Now, they're outside of my country, because I've been to 48 of the 50 states in the United States. But I'm going to at least 2, if not more, countries that I've never been to before. So I'm kind of looking forward to that next year. So don't just fall in a rut to go to the same place. There are same places that I like to go, but it's nice once a year to say on a certain date, a date certain, we're going to go somewhere we have never been before. Can I give you another goal that I think is an awesome goal for you to try to work on in the next year? And that is to practice kindness. When you're in a restaurant, when you're out in public, look for a way to help someone. Look for a way that you can extend kindness and practice kindness with someone. Especially, it's important to do it when you're doing it for a person who has no way of paying you back. They don't even know who you are. How much our world right now is so mean-spirited, so divisive, so much fussing and fighting. What would happen if an army of us decided we were going to go out today and we are going to look around and we're going to practice kindness? You'd feel better about yourself. You'd help somebody else. I think that's a goal that you could implement into your life that I think would have some mental health benefits as well as the obvious. Not only would it be good maybe to set the goal of we're going to practice kindness, how about practicing patience? This is something I'm learning in the last couple of years, and I kind of take a couple of deep breaths before I get in my car. As you know, I do a lot of driving in the work that I'm involved with. And right now, so many roads are closed in my area that nearly any trip anywhere is a major ordeal. And so I'm trying to practice patience. If someone races around me on the right side to cut me off, rather than getting angry or upset or thinking they are trying to make my life miserable, they, like me, are in a hurry. and I just need to practice patience. I'm still going to get to my destination. There's no sense getting in a fuss, an automobile accident. Let's learn to practice patience. Let's learn to practice patience with our spouses, our children, the people that we work with. I'm a big believer in having reading goals. I think we need to be exercising this big muscle in our head, the brain. And I love to read, so I am already there and love to read. It's not a chore for me. It's something I enjoy doing. Plus, I have it available to me on Audible. And I just really use my Audible account listening to recordings in the car, in the gym, as well as podcasts. But if you're a person who reading does not come natural for you, you've been convicted, you know you need to do it. Here's how I would advise you to do. Get a book that you want to read, something that's easy, and then set a timer each day that you're going to read 10, 15, 20 minutes, and that's all. And when it's done, stop. It would be better for you to stop before you really want to than for the time to be so long that you get bored and your mind wanders before you get there. You're not in a race, you're not in a sprint. You're trying to develop your reading muscle. And so the goal is, maybe for some of you, it's as short a period as 5 minutes. It really doesn't matter. What matters is you do it enough days consecutively until it becomes a habit. And you can't read a book, you can't read 10 books, you can't read 100 books until you start reading the first 10 minutes. And so just develop that habit. You don't have to go all the way out there and make it an enormous goal. Make it a reasonable, incremental goal that you can achieve. The next one that I'd say is go on a date with your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend, if that's where you are in life. If you're not married, go on a date. Spend time together. You know, when you're dating someone, you are almost in pain being apart from them. You want to be with them. You want to be in FaceTime with them. You want to be near where they are. And then sometimes as we get older, that kind of dissipates. Go on a date, work on your relationships. This is to help us to not allow our lives to get out of balance. We need to have some incremental, short, reasonable things that anyone can do. And for those of you who are continually late, I'm trying to get victory over my time aversion, my time consciousness that was instilled within me as a child. And I know it's family-oriented and personality and even cultural. But if you're a person who has a tendency to always and continually run late, why don't you set a small incremental goal for yourself to say, I'm going to start showing up to events 5 minutes early, which means you'll have to leave 5 to 10 minutes, probably for some of you 15 minutes earlier than you're used to using, and just surprise people and prove to yourself that you aren't a victim of circumstances, that you can actually take control of your calendar, your time, and get things done. Now, there's none of these that are magically going to change one's life. The point of all of this is your goal doesn't have to be, I want to lose 300 pounds in the next 10 minutes. People set such outlandish dates with such short time periods. The way to really make change is to say, I'm going to the gym this amount of minutes. I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to begin to drink water. I'm going to check my credit score and see where I am financially, and then see what can I do to raise it. I'm going to put 1% more into my retirement account. I'm going to just get up every day and make sure that I read for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to read out of my Bible. I'm going to read a chapter a day. Don't so much focus on what you're going to do. Just set a habit and begin making it easy to do. Now, you know when something's easy to do, it's easy not to do. But do something that's easy to do. And I would highly recommend that sometime within the next 3 to 4 months, sign up for a self-development class, a webinar, get a course on Audible and listen to it, and invest in your own development. No one cares about your development like you should. And so be a better person 3 months from now than you are today, or 6 months from now. Keep learning, keep growing, keep stretching. You can do it. Again, these are just a few of the ideas that I've come up with of how you can make a difference in your own life and begin to move yourself forward. As always, leader, I want to remind you, you're doing better than you think you are. And you have been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I trust that for you today, it has been like a vitamin or supplement for your heart and mind. And wherever you receive podcasts, would you please subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, leave a rating and a brief written review. By leaving the ratings and the written reviews, it moves the podcast up the list and it will enable and help others to find it. Thanks for listening. This is Dr. Ron saying until next time, friend, have a great and blessed day.